Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Growth Training Podcast. My name is Coach Kokoro and we have Nate, the Infinite Banking coach, and he explains the term Infinite Banking, why he started teaching about money, understanding leverage, and how your mindset affects your money. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show.
I appreciate that. How long have you been following me? Because we just recently connected, but
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just curious how long.
I've seen your account for quite a while now. I think since 2020. I've been seeing your account since then.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was I kind of got on Twitter by accident a little bit because my business partner, he and I were good friends, and we were accountability partners too, just holding each
Mhm.
other accountable in different areas of our lives. And
Mhm.
he was on Twitter. He was texting me tweets from different guys, um, and it was about three main guys that he was texting me tweets from.
Mhm.
One was Ed Lattimore.
Yeah.
The other was AJ Cortez.
Mhm.
And then the other one was Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
So those were kind of like the main three that he was sending me tweets from. And so one day I was just like, I'm gonna get on there and check this stuff out for myself. So I got on Twitter and just really fell in love with the platform and the community, and
Yeah.
started just connecting with people and adding a lot of value in a lot, whatever ways I could. And man, it just kind of blew up in a cool way.
Yeah. What year was that?
That was December 2018 when I started my account.
Yeah. So, do you mind telling us a bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am 41 years old. I
Mhm.
don't look my age. I've never looked my age. When I was in high school, I hated that because everybody thought I was 12. And when you're a high school guy, you never want to look younger. You always want to look older.
Mhm.
But as I've gotten older, it's gotten really cool. I've been married for this year will be 20 years. So I got married young, started having kids young. My oldest son actually just graduated high school. My youngest son is a sophomore in high school, and then I have two
Mhm.
girls that are in seventh grade and fourth grade. So, and I live in Southeast Texas. Geographically speaking, I'm about an hour and a half northeast of Houston in a small
Mhm.
town that nobody's ever heard of. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of reference as far as where I'm coming from. And my background is in ministry. Actually, I did youth ministry and music ministry at
Mhm.
churches, and I even was a senior pastor of a church for 3 years. So I have a ministry background, and just always had a heart for helping people and educating people and teaching people what I believe to be the truth.
Mhm. So, why did you decide to teach about money?
Well, I went to school for business and finance, so I've always
Mhm.
been fascinated with that. My dad was a business owner, and so I had that background of just kind of wanting to take hold of freedom in because I saw what he had created for himself,
Mhm.
and we weren't well off or anything like that, but we were comfortable.
Yeah.
Um, and my dad, like everything that I did growing up, like all sporting events and baseball games and all that stuff, like he was either there or he was coaching. Like he was a part of my life. And so I noticed that not other kids got to experience that. So one of the desires I always had was, my dad was my hero anyway, so I wanted to
Mhm.
be like him. And so I went to school for business and finance. I was always fascinated with just causes and effects of the economy, like micro and macroeconomics were really
Mhm.
just fascinating to me. In fact, I even my newsletter that went out today was about micro and macroeconomics.
Mhm.
Um, and so economics was those were my favorite classes. I enjoyed those. And so as I got out on my own, it took me a while to uh, really find my passion as far as what I wanted to build and what I wanted to create.
Mhm.
Um, I did church ministry for a long time, but anytime I was doing church ministry, I was always working in smaller churches where they couldn't really afford to make me a full-time staff member.
Mhm.
So I would do something on the side just to support my family. And it would just be various things. I mean, I was a general manager of a coffee and bakery chain for a while.
Mhm.
Um, I worked for a precious metals company where we sold gold, platinum, and silver. Um, and then I ended up before I started my own company. Before that, I ended up getting into the insurance business. I actually went to work for State Farm
Mm-hmm.
Insurance, and I worked for them for a few years, and then ended up going and running a startup agency.
Mm-hmm.
I managed a startup agency for about 5.5 years, and we did home and auto insurance and stuff like that. So, but I've always just been like, it's always been at the forefront of my mind. One day I'm going to start something and I'm going to own it, and it's going to be mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started a residential contractor. I started a consulting business for residential contractors in November 2017,
Mm-hmm.
and the money was really good, but it wasn't anything that I was excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I learned about this concept that we teach now called infinite banking.
Mm-hmm.
It was late 2017. It was like December 2017 when I read this book called Becoming Your Own Banker.
Mm-hmm.
And that idea of becoming your own banker just really aligned with my values, because I'm always looking for ways to create more freedom for myself. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
probably everybody. If we're honest with ourselves, everybody really wants as much freedom as possible. Nobody really ever wants to be enslaved in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So becoming your own banker made a lot of sense to me. And I read this book by Nelson Nash, and just completely opened my eyes to personal finance and really how money worked for the first time. Because even going through school, they never really taught us about leverage and how leverage
Mm-hmm.
works and how you can apply leverage in your life. So that was the introduction of me getting to the point where I started teaching about money and everything like that. I read this book. I got really excited about it. I shared it with my friend Brandon, and he got excited about it too. And so we started implementing the strategies of infinite banking in our own lives. And we got so excited about what we were doing for ourselves that one day we were just like, man, like, wouldn't this be cool to go teach other people? Like, I mean, we're this excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, we ended up having some mentors that poured into us, um, and then eventually they kicked us out of the nest after a couple of years, and they said, man, we can't teach y'all anything. Y'all got this. We can't teach y'all anything else. Y'all got this. So that's kind of where we ended up today. We started our company April of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And then December 2018 is when I got on Twitter. And then right around January 2019 is when the snowballs started kind of happening with Twitter and our business. And it's just been a fun ride ever since.
Yeah. Do you mind talking a bit about the infinite banking thing?
Yeah, so infinite banking, it's a very polarizing topic in
Mm-hmm.
personal finance in the United States. The funny thing is when I teach people outside of the United States about infinite banking, they get really excited about it
Mm-hmm.
because they have not had the indoctrination of they haven't had the indoctrination in terms of personal finance like people in the States have.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that it's polarizing is because we use a financial product called a whole life insurance policy, and we build out and customize this policy to create your own personal banking system that you can operate inside of.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea with infinite banking is you can take a properly structured whole life insurance policy, create your own private banking system
Mm-hmm.
to where now you own it and control it. And you can technically earn interest off of your own money, whether you're spending it or saving it, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the concept that we implemented for ourselves. We got really excited about it, and we just decided, let's go teach this to the masses. Let's share it, share this information with the world.
Mm-hmm. And you said the reception has been good so far.
It's been really good. But it's a polarizing topic, but it's because it's very misunderstood.
Yeah.
And I started teaching this to people on Twitter in January 2019, and since then I've taught thousands and thousands of people how to do this. how it works and everything like that.
Hmm.
And no one has ever gone through our educational process and blasted me on Twitter for it.
That's a good thing.
Because absolutely, I mean, it's one of the reasons why we offer because we have an educational course that we offer
Hmm.
through social media, on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff, and it's really just the gateway to our educational process. There is a cost to it,
Hmm.
but we also tell everybody who goes through it, if you don't see the value in this, all you have to do is ask for a refund,
Hmm.
and no questions asked. We'll send your money back, because I'm never going to take $1 from somebody that I'm not willing to hand right back to them.
Yeah. So before people take your course or start your program, what are some common problems they come to you with?
So probably the most common thing that we experience is people who are working through consumer debt of some
Mhm.
kind. That's probably the most common case that we see. Somebody's got a credit card they're paying 20% interest on or something like that.
Mhm.
Somebody's got a car note that, they're, having to deal with that also. It may not necessarily be high interest,
Mhm.
but any sort of consumer debt that you're having to take on and deal with in your monthly budget, no matter what the amount of interest is that you're paying, that is a guaranteed cost to
Mhm.
you every month that's going out the door. So, with the concept of infinite banking, we're able to create customized strategies for people where they can actually start to take that guaranteed cost and turn it into guaranteed cash flow coming back to them.
That makes sense. So, you spoke about how mindset affects money in one of your tweets. Do you mind throwing some light on that?
Well, there's a few layers to that for sure. One of them
Hmm.
is the fact that when you are extremely risk averse, that can create a scarcity block.
Hmm.
And when you have a scarcity block that you're dealing with, it's very difficult to overcome, because you start to feel like it's never going to get any better than this. And instead of thriving with what you have to work with, you start to get into this maintenance mode where I just need to keep what I have and
Hmm.
try not to lose it. And when you play just trying not to lose, sad thing is you end up losing.
That's deep. That's actually very deep. Yeah. So, how do you now try to shift this mindset, basically?
Well, I think one of the really cool things about the concept of infinite banking is the fact that I can earn interest, I can build wealth simultaneously, whether I'm spending it or saving it,
Hmm.
which is a very crazy concept. But you have to understand the principle of leverage and how that works. And so, what we do is we educate people on the principle of leverage and the fact that they can actually put their money into a system and get minimum guarantees on those dollars
Hmm.
and still go out and take care of everything else that they need in life simultaneously. So, when you have $10,000 in a savings account, as an example,
Hmm.
and let's say you want to go pay cash for a car. Let's
Hmm.
say you found a car for 10 grand. It runs good. You're like, hey, I got 10 grand in the bank. I'm going to go pay cash for that car.
Hmm.
So you take that $10,000 and you go to the dealership or wherever you're going to buy the car. And now that $10,000 is completely gone.
Hmm.
And not only that, but when you're buying vehicles, because of the depreciation of the vehicle, not only is your money gone, but now it's going down in value
Yeah.
simultaneously. So, with the principle of leverage, what we teach people how to do is actually take what they already have, take their existing resources, and use them as collateral,
Hmm.
so that you have the ability to keep your money constantly growing, keeping pressure on your money to constantly grow,
Hmm.
even when you're funding your life for other things. So I could take that $10,000 and I could go down to my local bank and put it into a certificate of deposit, a CD, as an example.
Hmm.
And I could get a guaranteed compounding rate of return on that certificate of deposit. And I could take a collateralized loan from the bank and actually still go buy my car.
Hmm.
And what that does is it gives you the ability to keep pressure and momentum on that money to grow. Now, we don't, with Infinite Banking, we use a whole life insurance policy to accomplish all of this. And the beauty of that is when we're borrowing against our own capital inside of a policy, we control the terms as far as when and how we want to repay our system. So when we borrow $10,000 from our system, we want to have a goal of how we're going to send that money back and return that money back. The cool thing is by the time we do pay it all back, it's actually had time to continue to grow over time. The principle, the important principle that most people miss out on when they're trying to wrap their mind around this concept is the fact that you finance everything in your life, whether you're paying cash for it or not. And that's really twofold. One aspect is you're always giving up interest. So when you're borrowing money, you're paying interest to the bank. But when you're paying cash, you are giving up the interest that money could have earned if it was in a better environment, if you understood leverage. The other side of that is you're always making payments somewhere because money has to flow no matter what. So if you're borrowing from the bank, you're making payments to the bank. If you are paying cash for something, you are making payments to yourself for a future purchase. And so understanding that principle and that concept and applying that can be really powerful for someone who understands it.
Yeah. I like this. I feel like I'm benefiting more. I'm getting game for free. I should be paying for this because this is too good. So I feel like you must have had a lot of business during the pandemic because people were scared and no work, no nothing. People lost clients, and so what was the pandemic like for your business?
It was amazing actually, because there were a lot of people who had a lot more time on their hands. So they started looking into different ways they could educate themselves during their time at home. And also when they saw the drops in the market and things like that, they started thinking, okay, maybe this isn't what I want to do long term for myself. Maybe I don't have as much confidence in the market as I thought I did, because we've had an amazing bull run since 2009 in the stock market. And there's a good portion of the working class today that has never experienced a downturn or correction in the market, because they've just been on this run for so long. And so now they finally are getting the wake up call that, okay, it doesn't always go up. Like there's actually there can be some downside to this. But 2020 was really a big moment for our business. That is really where we saw the most growth from year to year. But it's been really good, and that's still paying dividends even today, because there's a lot of people who came into the educational process during that time who now 2 years later are getting to the point where they're like, okay, I've been back to work for a while, money's going good, everything's flowing the right direction. Now it's time to start looking at getting started with this strategy, because now I've got the confidence that I feel like I can actually take it on and be a part of doing it or whatever.
So what about using this strategy for buying like a house?
Yeah, you can absolutely. You can finance a house with it if you decide you want to do that. We show people who already have existing mortgages. We show them how, if they want to, we can show them how they can pay off their mortgage pretty quickly using the strategy. But we've had clients who've actually borrowed from their systems to buy real estate. I borrowed from my system to buy real estate. In fact, 2020, I bought 23 acres of land that came up for sale in my area, and I used the money that was in my policy. I used for the down payment on that land, and so I secured that asset with equity inside of another asset. So I put equity into I've got equity growing in two different assets with the same dollars, which is crazy. Like, most people don't ever get to experience that. And then on top of that, the land that I bought, when we bought it, we thought, hey, we're going to build a house on this, one day. But we didn't get in a huge hurry. And then once all the lumber prices and everything started going crazy, I was like, all right, let's slow play this and see if prices come down a little bit. And so we haven't gotten in a huge hurry on breaking ground or anything like that. Well, just recently, this land that I've owned for a couple of years, I just got an offer for basically double what I paid for it. And so now I'm thinking, well, shoot, I could just go double my money. But the thing is I used a policy loan from my system for the down payment, which means I use the insurance company's money, because when we borrow from our policy, we're using the insurance company's money. That's why our money gets to sit inside the policy and grow uninterrupted the entire time. So I use the insurance company's money to acquire the asset. And then I've just been making monthly payments on it, because I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do with it. And I didn't want to tie up any money in it. Yeah. And so now, 2 years later, total out of my pocket, like maybe like, I don't know, 10, 15 grand, something like that. So my cost of capital is basically just what I've put into it, because everything else was somebody else's money that I used.
Yeah.
So if I'm able to, if I end up selling it for double what I paid for it, I'm not doubling my money. I'm actually 10xing my money. Because when you're using someone else's money to create value in your life, the rate of return has a far greater impact than when you're using your own money.
Yeah, but this system, can a random person without any assets or collateral do it?
As long as you have some disposable income, as long as you have a little bit of cash flow that you can use to get started, you absolutely can. We have some clients. I think this is one of the misconceptions with a strategy like this, is when people hear it, they're like, oh, well, you probably have to be wealthy to do something like that. You probably have to have a lot of money. We have some clients who put 6 figures a year into a policy. We have some clients who put $500 a month into a policy. So if you've got some disposable income, then you can actually use that to start building your system, building your own banking system.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if you could start from $0 in cash and in assets, what would be your move to get back to where you are right now?
Okay, so if I didn't have any money at all,
no money,
and I'm
no
just
assets.
Okay, so if I didn't have any money at all and I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do to make some money, the very first thing that I would do is get on Craigslist and Facebook and find all the free stuff that people are giving away and start acquiring it and flipping it for a profit.
Yeah, that's smart.
I mean, flipping on eBay, flipping on Craigslist, flipping on Facebook. I mean, I have friends and even clients who make 6 figures a year just flipping items, basically acquiring something from someone else who was selling it at a price and finding someone else who's willing to buy it for more.
Yeah.
And I mean, to me, if you have, I mean, you can even, for someone who, like, I've even heard stories about someone who was homeless, right? And they decided to start flipping items. They heard, it was possible or whatever. I don't remember where I heard this, but somebody who was homeless, didn't have a job. They were using the local library internet to start flipping items, and they started making money. As someone who was homeless, they started making money, off of free resources that were available. I've heard similar stories of people who started businesses from their local library internet because they didn't have enough money. So there's too much information in the world today for you to stay broke.
Yeah. All right, man. It's been good. It's been good having you on the show. So where can people find you on the internet?
So my handle on Twitter is @ChroniclesNate. I am Nate, the Infinite Banking Coach, out there on Twitter and Instagram. And our business page on Instagram is ULC Money. So those are the best ways to find us. You can also visit our website at unlimitedlifeconcepts.com.
All right, man. It's been good having you. Make sure you
Thank you
enjoy your
so
day.
much for having me, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, have a nice day, man.
All right.
Thank you for coming this far. I created the program for people feeling stuck, struggling with an addiction, trying to find their path, and want to become whole again. It is called the Self Mastery Program. Please check out the show notes to get a copy, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.